Collar cam. Name. Rita. Date. Redacted. Time. Redacted.
Anyone ever tell you you're a good listener? I mean, isn't that all anybody ever needs? Someone to listen? I don't even think most people need a response, a discussion, a debate. They just need an ear, maybe an eye, just to sit there, still, to act like nothing else is happening, to act like they are the center of everything and nothing else matters. They need attention. That's what it is. People need attention. I mean, it varies based on what type of person you are, but for the most part, in general, attention is pretty foundational to the needs of everyone. Very foundational to the needs of a teacher as well. Oh, how I've vied for the attention of my students over the years. You might say that was my main task as an educator. I mean, how do you teach someone who isn't paying attention? It's impossible. Attention isn't everything, though. You can pay so much attention to something, all attention, and still not get what you want. But maybe you really didn't need it. Maybe, no matter how much you pay attention to what you want, you will always, inevitably, get what you need. Well, at least that's what I'm telling myself to stay sane. And yet, here I am, talking to you, honey. Being back in this house really opened the memory floodgates. I mean, LLU for starters. Liberty Life Unlimited. Wow, I hadn't thought about them in years. Which is kind of sad, because they really did so much for so many children, especially us. I mean, I wonder if Ava, Nathan, or Anthony would say the same. They should, really, but I guess I could understand if they didn't. LLU was just such a fascinating thing. What else can you call it? It all started with the meeting of 4 random orphans who wanted to save the world. I mean, that's just a great story in and of itself. I don't care what anybody says. David, Daniel, Deidre, and Daphne, all orphans, all met in the halls of college. David and Daniel with their dreams set on becoming doctors, and Deidre and Daphne with their hearts in the nursing department. You really can't make this up. I guess you could, technically. But after they all met, well, you could say the rest was history. They could feel the pull to each other on so many levels, like their fates were sealed with one another, beyond their control. LLU was bigger than all of them. Of course, David married Deidre, and Daniel married Daphne, or was it the other way around? It really was, for all intents and purposes, a marriage of 4. Anyway, what a name. Liberty Life Unlimited. I don't remember all the little bits from back then. I'm sure I knew the whole origin story at some point. I'm sure you could look it up somewhere. Well, not you, but it definitely had something to do with the state of the profession at the time, or something. Restrictions on what they could do and how they could do it. I guess if you're a group of people who want to save the world, you should expect to get some pushback on how it ought to be done. They wanted their liberty to save the world the way they thought it needed to be saved. Oh, did we ever get questioned after the crash? Wow. I guess when there is that much money and secrecy on the line, people want answers. I really didn't know that much. What can I say? They were busy saving the world. They really weren't ever around. They basically just gave us houses and resources and called everyone once in a while to check in. That was the LLU way. I'm sure they got flack for it. In those days, our only bit of normalcy was Grandma. They loved Grandma, and so did we. Grandma lived in this house. She was the neighbor in between our two houses. I guess you could say we had her surrounded. Big old house with a huge yard, and only her living in it. I'm not even sure if they worked up a deal with her. They must have. We just kind of came and went when we wanted. Basically, whenever we were hungry. Or just needing to be around someone, really. She was a fabulous cook. And just warm and inviting. It really did feel like home. Even though we had the houses next door to ourselves. I mean, it was fine. Those times were fine. More than fine. I knew LLU were always just a phone call away. If they were busy, I would just leave a message and one of them would get back to me. Usually Deidre. I guess she liked me and felt like I was her responsibility. She usually took it upon herself to answer my calls. She was sweet. She called me honey. I loved that. I suppose that's why I call people honey sometimes. It's sweet. But everything changed after the crash. A life of liberty really is limited. Sorry, bad joke. Like, what are the chances that Grandma left too? Same day. Pretty unbelievable when you think about it. It was a little too much at the time. I think all of us took it hard, in our own special way. It didn't really bring us closer together either. Once the lawyers made it through everything, we all got the piece of LLU that was always coming to us. Ava, Nathan, and I eventually disappeared to the city. Anthony disappeared into Grandma's basement. Poor guy. He definitely took Grandma's leaving the hardest. He really loved her. It's kind of weird now that I think of it. Orphans adopting orphans. I thought it was natural and right at the time. Never gave it a second thought. They were always like, do whatever you want. We will give you all the resources you want. Thinking they were providing everything required. But they weren't, you know? I guess everyone is different. Everyone has different needs. I feel like we all turned out all right, given the circumstances. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I would totally enjoy trying to save the world. Is there a more virtuous ambition than that? But part of me is like, if you try to save everything, you end up saving nothing. The world is a big place. I mean, someone like Nathan sure thinks it's possible. But I mean, of course he would. His ambition is the size of the earth. Maybe bigger. Nathan is one of a kind, that's for sure. We didn't see much of him. He was always busy leading something or other. Club president, team captain, first place in competitions. He was friends with everyone and no one at the same time, if that makes sense. He didn't let people get away with ignoring or dismissing him. If someone didn't like him, he honed in to win them over. He had the looks, the charm, the drive, and it all seemed to come so naturally to him. It was just him. I don't know where he got his energy from. I guess he just fed off all the attention he received. It must be energizing to have every eye in town on you, talking about you. The women wanted him, and the men wanted to be him. I'm sure there were some men that wanted him too. And I guess if you were him, you would either shy away from that or fully embrace it. And well, he was all in. But then, I guess, he probably thought he earned it. Everything was just in its right place. I remember he would come to get my attention, usually when he needed something from me, like to help him with homework. I don't think he needed my help understanding it. He just needed my help doing it. He knew I would have already been done by the time he got around to starting. Makes me wonder who between us was actually the smarter one. I really fell for his charm when we first met. But I guess I caught on the more I got to know him. I kind of got fed up after a while. And when I called him out on it, he just shook his head and laughed at me. Like I was the one who was being pathetic. Maybe I was. There was no getting through to him. He knew best, obviously. If I wouldn't do his homework, he probably had a lineup of people waiting to do anything he asked. When you're a winner, you're a winner. What can I say? There was one kid back then, a quiet, nerdy guy. His name escapes me. I remember Nathan was furious with him because he could never get this guy to do what he wanted. He was like the top of our class. I wonder whatever happened to him. And I mean, I say all this, but part of me just gets ticked off because Nathan was always winning, but he wasn't playing fair. Like with science, you follow the rules, you rarely win, but when you do, you really win. And everyone wins too. But he was doing some kind of pseudoscience where he bent every rule for the shortest path to victory. And he was the only winner, and everyone else lost. But he didn't really win, and no one really seemed to care. It's like everyone was more impressed with the way he bent all the rules in his favor just to make it look like he won. But he didn't win anything. He must have realized this. But it never seemed like anyone saw it that way. Maybe I'm just a sore loser. Sometimes, though, I swear, Nathan was only into winning because it produced losers. Like he was only interested in situations where there was a clear winner and loser. Otherwise, he was just not interested at all in participating. Like, this sounds weird, but I don't even think he was interested in winning. He was interested in making people lose and getting praised for it. He thrived off making losers. It sounds morbid, but that's how it felt. On the rare occasion when we were all hanging out, he would be egging us on to compete at something. Play games or wrestle. Oh, how he was obsessed with wrestling. He wasn't interested in wrestling to teach us technique. He just wanted to overpower us, pin us down, and laugh at us once he had done it. I mean, yeah, he was really good at it, but you would think he would not be interested in wrestling someone he was sure to defeat. But that sure defeat was his fuel. It was so weird, because for years I didn't hear from the guy. Then all of a sudden, when I met Marshall and we started going steady, and I finally felt for once like I was really winning in life, Nathan showed up. Totally out of the blue. Like he could sense I got the attention of someone really special, and just came to take it away from me. To help me lose. I must really sound insane at this point. Well, it didn't matter. Marshall was never going to stick around anyway. Maybe my body could feel that Nathan was coming for my joy and refused to let me have it so that I wouldn't be able to lose and he wouldn't be able to win. Okay, now I have become insane. Maybe it's just envy. Maybe I just saw how much attention Nathan was able to get, and I just wished I could have that. He just has that special thing that's needed to influence and change the world. And he really doesn't have to do anything to get it except be himself. I've spent my life trying to change the world in my own little way, learning the lessons of all the greats who have come before, to build up my persona and become the greatest force for good and positive change in the world so I could educate others on how to be. And the whole time, I was never really being myself. And what do I have to show for it now? Wow, I am insane. I never talk like this. But I feel it, I guess. I always had fabulous grades. All my teachers loved me and encouraged me and supported me. I really thought I had what it took. I really thought I was going to change the world. I really believed it. But I feel so foolish now. I feel like I don't know anything. Like I hypnotized myself into believing I could really change the world. Like I really knew something. I mean, I still believe empowering others with education will change the world. But maybe the real intelligence, all along, is just getting others to do things for you. Like a newborn. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm tearing up. Aw, thank you. That's sweet. I just thought of this memory of Nathan. I had just met him, and we were wrestling in the basement. His idea, of course. But I liked it at the time. I mean, we were at a curious age. And we were tumbling around, and I was like, "You're scaring me." And I thought that was like a signal to stop, you know? But he just kept going. And I tried to get away, but he wouldn't let me. Oh, my hands are shaking. Look. Wow. I can't stop tearing. He didn't say anything. He just laughed and kept overpowering me. Pinned me down. Pulled down my pants. Oh, what a wretched memory. He left me alone after that. Anthony was the complete opposite. Oh, what a sweetheart. Almost to a fault, you know? A pushover. A gentle man. He never wanted to wrestle with me. Or at least he would never ask. I saw him wrestle with Nathan a few times, and he was no pushover then. He would fight hard. But he would do it differently than Nathan. I guess you would call it good sportsmanship. Something like that. I don't think Anthony has one mean bone in his body. He's a teddy bear. He's a lover, not a fighter. I mean, he's not like a sissy boy or anything. He's just a quiet guy. To himself. Maybe a bit slow. He's not useless or anything. I would sit with him for hours in this kitchen, with his homework. It felt like he was playing stupid with me, just so I would hang out with him. Just going through some simple math problems. I would walk him through every single step, like really spelling it out, and we would get to the end, and I'd ask him for the answer, and he would smile and just write down the wrong answer. And poorly as well. So frustrating. It's like he was dropped on his head or something. Sorry, bad joke. But wow, the guy was a lost cause. But super nice guy at the same time. Super sweet. Always cracking jokes. Always a goofball. I don't think he had a serious bone in his body either. Certainly not a sharp one. Sorry. Whatever Anthony is or was, he was not equipped to deal with the loss of Grandma. Or it just took this long to actually deal. I mean, he just left the house for the city not too long ago. I don't think he had ever been to the city before. It's like he was stuck being who he was the day of the crash. Like everyone eventually got older, more mature, and moved on with their lives. And he just stayed the same Anthony he was when she left. I guess it was his way of coping. Of holding on to whatever there was that was left of her for dear life. Maybe some people are destined to change the world and some are destined to do nothing. You could say that the crash changed Anthony forever, but he was pretty much the same person before the crash. He was always one of these professional fans, remembering lines from every movie and stats from every professional player, all pretty useless information, since you can go look it up anyway. Though I have to hand it to him, he did keep Grandma's garden going. If he did nothing else since the crash, he did that, and did it well. He really did adore Grandma. Oh, I'm teary again. Thank you, honey. And then there was Ava. Roommate Ava. Gorgeous, perfect Ava. If I'm honest with myself, I was envious of the attention she received during our time together. She was really quiet. She didn't say much. But everyone loved her. Yeah, all the teachers thought I was great, but really, I wanted more attention from the other students, like Ava had. And what made it even more frustrating was that she didn't want it, or just appeared to be above it anyway. Or maybe that was just her strategy for actually getting the attention, and my reason for not getting it. Like by her not wanting it, she got it, and me really wanting it, I didn't. Wow, do I sound insane? But I tell ya, there is no other explanation. She definitely wasn't the same after the crash. You know what? I totally forgot. Around that time of the crash, she lost her best friend Brittany. That's right. Bestie and dance partner. Right. Well, of course. I don't think they ever found out what happened to her. Oh yeah, something to do with Anthony's stolen car and the river or something. I'm sure you could look it up. Yeah, that's when Ava started wearing sunglasses all the time. Right. She really closed herself off from the world. Almost worse than Anthony. I remember her homeroom teacher questioning me if everything was okay at home, asking why Ava wasn't showing up. She was just shut up in her room. She was ignoring me completely. Not that she paid that much attention to me anyway. I still kept after her, asking her why she was doing this and not that, and she just kept ignoring me. I mean, like I said, it's not like we were that close. I think we got along when we lived together, 'cause we stayed out of each other's way. Oh, I totally forgot about this too. When she learned that my time of the month lasted like 1 day on average, she got so upset. I had never seen her like that. She really hated me for that. I guess hers lasted almost a week. Poor thing. There's something to that. Two women can be the closest of friends, but at the end of the day, the severity of the cycle will generate enough envy to keep them apart. Maybe, all along, ladies just needed to associate with others who had similar cycles, and the world would have become a little more peaceful. It wasn't long after the crash that she just left everything behind and moved to the city. I mean, I get it. She is an extremely talented dancer. Why wouldn't she try to turn it into a career? But she's no prima ballerina. She's a pole dancer. I mean, I've never seen her pole dance, but I've heard from others. People talk. I'm not trying to degrade pole dancing. I'm sure it takes as much practice as a ballerina to become successful. But you're not performing at the prestigious auditorium downtown in front of the fancy, highly cultured crowds. You are in the dimly lit, sticky, stinky club in the dingy part of the city, surrounded by uncultured men. But I guess you don't have to wait for your paycheck to come in the mail. Sorry, bad joke. I just don't think, in her heart of hearts, pole dancing is what she wanted to do. She wanted to be that prima ballerina in the auditorium, getting standing ovations and flowers thrown on stage, with all the rich and powerful men kissing her feet. Her face on the cover of all the papers, praising her performance. And I really do believe she could have gotten all that. She had the drive and the talent, no question. But instead, she settles for the drunk losers, throwing greasy bills on the stage, yelling out what they would do to her. Maybe she's into that. I don't know. To each their own. I just hope she's happy. Regardless, I know she could care less what other people think of her. Sometimes I wish I was like that. I also wish she would have pursued something other than dance. She's so smart. I mean, yes, she did some teaching, and that's great, but nothing of noble, cutting-edge value. Like, people have been dancing for thousands of years, and that's awesome. I dance all the time, too. But it's like, what else, you know? Rumor has it she has some wealthy admirers, but who knows what else she has to do for their support. I doubt they're just fans of the dance, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know for sure, but people talk, and there's usually no smoke without fire, you know? I wonder if she can have kids. She would make some gorgeous kids, no doubt. I don't know if she has a type. Definitely not Nathan or Anthony. I think she thought they were both pretty pathetic in their own special way. I mean, she might be into women. Doubtful. She is just into herself, I guess. She's into her dance. Her ability to attract attention. I mean, if I had what she has, I would probably embrace it too. Oh, what that must feel